lab go? Good. Well, great. All right. Awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. So just a reminder that next Tuesday follows Monday schedule, so we will not have our lecture, and all office hours will run according to their Monday schedule on Tuesday, not their Tuesday schedule. And then on Wednesday, you have your lab Q&A during your regular lab time, your exam Q&A, and then we will have our exam at 6 o'clock. So if anyone has a class that ends exactly at 6 p.m. so that you don't have enough time to make your way to our exam room, please let us know immediately. Let us know as soon as you can. Okay, so that we know we have to do something about it. But hopefully all classes end at 5:50, so everyone has at least 10 minutes to make it to the room. Exam is on Wednesday next week. That is correct. And for the lab, it was good, even though I forgot to set up the IDN compiler on my laptop. Yeah, hopefully that wasn't a problem, because hopefully you were able to accomplish that during the lab. The lab itself was hopefully not too long, so if you needed some extra time to install the tools, hopefully that was possible. Yes, so practice questions for the exam have been posted. I really want students to solve the practice problems, not just look at the solutions. And for that reason, solutions will only be released the day before the exam, so that you know, the intention is for you to compare your solutions with ours. And if they're different, it doesn't mean that yours are incorrect. So for the most part, solutions can be different. There are multiple correct solutions that are possible, and so then, of course, this is the practice questions for the exam are not graded, so you are free to discuss it any way you like on the forum, anywhere else, and you're free to collaborate, work in small groups together in those practice questions. You're not graded on the practice questions. Okay. So that's that, and yes, next week lab is just a Q&A session for the for the exam. So feel free to torture your lab TAs and mentors, and bombard them with questions, and make sure that you understand all the material before exam starts. Homework 1 is due in roughly 11 days. Yes. And this homework, as all other homework assignments, will be due on submittee. So you just submit whatever their assignment is asking for on submittee. Is it mandatory to go to the Q&A session? No, it's not. So we will, we highly recommend that you do, but we will not be taking attendance. It's at what time? So the exam is 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So it's full 2 hours, yes, but no hidden test cases. Well, I don't know. You don't like hidden test cases? So their homework will be partially auto-graded, partially manually graded. So for their number of attempts, I think I just keep their default submittee setting, which I believe is 20 attempts, but let me check on that, and I can I can verify it next time. But I believe it's just the default 20 attempts. Yes, so the homework has been posted, and yes, it's under course materials. Okay, so are we more or less good on the same page regarding what happens next week before our lecture? Because Wednesday is the Q&A and the lab, and we only have one lecture next week that is on Friday. Okay. Do you know? someone is.
Got a quote as well.
Okay, I'm gonna mute someone because I think they just unmuted themselves by accident. Okay, so is homework usually posted on Thursdays? Not necessarily. I will try to post homework assignments as early as I can. And as I mentioned last lecture, I was actually planning on posting the homework on Tuesday, but um, I only was able to adhere. Students should have at least 10 days, 10 calendar days to work on their homework assignments. And if I'm able to release homework assignments earlier, I will certainly do that. Yes, the exam is on Wednesday. On Wednesdays. So basically it's every other Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m., except for, things get a little screwed up after their Thanksgiving because, Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving break is uh, Wednesday through Friday, so we are not able to, to have any labs or any exams or any, Q&A that Wednesday because technically it's part of their Thanksgiving break. So that's why shift a little bit after the Thanksgiving break. Will be on their exam? Well, the exam is based on their material that we cover in lectures. So, of course, homework assignments might have the same material, but for homework assignments, they might include the material that we will cover in later lectures. So, of course, on their exam, you're not going to be tested on the material that has not been yet covered by lectures. Is that making sense? No, it's not like if it's in the homework, it's on the exam. So it's imagine we talked about and we continue this conversation about differences between C and C++ or like printf and scanf, things like that. So if we cover this material before the exam, it may be on the exam. Even if we covered it on Monday and the exam is 2 days from that on Wednesday, that material may still be included. But if this material has not been covered uh, in their lectures and in their corresponding labs that were before their exam, it's not going to be on their it's not going to be on their on the exam, right? So does lecture 0 count? Yes, all lectures count. Lab is same day as exam. Well, it's same day but different weeks. So every other week we have a real lab where you do your problems and get your checkpoints as you did in this week 1, and then every other week, so like week 2, you have a lab Q&A and then the exam at the end of the day, 6 to 8. So will this exam be shorter than future exams since we have only covered a small amount so far? Likely. So if you look at their if you look at the practice questions, that should that should give you some kind of idea about what is going to be on this upcoming exam. And yeah, maybe most likely it's fewer problems in general than on future exams when we have more material. But overall exams, do not expect exams to be huge because each exam is only 2 weeks worth of material, so they're not gonna be they're not gonna be huge. Is the exam covering anything we would have learned on Tuesday if it were not for Labor Day? No, that would be completely outrageous. You mean like you know I should be saying like oh, we didn't have Tuesday, we didn't have a lecture because of their Labor Day, but I expect you to know all the contents of that non-existent lecture for the exam. No, that's not going to be happening. That's not going to be happening. So how big is the crib sheet? We are allowed just a normal sheet of paper. Their policy for their exam is you can use any non-electronic materials, and there are no limits. So as long as it is not in the electronic form. So you can use your notes, you can use your your textbook, you can use chapters from Zybooks that you printed out. So it has to be it has to be printed. It cannot be any electronic device. So no laptops, no phones, no smartwatches, nothing like that. But any printed materials are allowed. So that's your creep sheet. You don't have to submit it in advance. You just you just make sure during the exam that you're not using any electronics. Also, we'll be going through the slides. We didn't finish last lecture. Yes, we will. Lecture 0 is 200 slides that were not covered, so we're supposed to self-teach that? No. So, whatever we cover today, only that material is going to be on the exam. So the goal is to cover up to slide 70. So let's see how it goes. But that's their somehow by mistake covered by lectures and labs in the exam, then those questions will be, of course, discarded because that would be a mistake on my part. So, if you think that is happening, let me know. So the important thing that you need to remember is that while the exam only covers, the material that was covered since the previous exam, it you are expected to know all the material that we covered in the class. So like here's our exam 1, so it's not a problem because all the material will be fresh. But then let's say exam 2 comes and you are asked to write some C code with a fork function, and as part of that problem you will need to print something to the output. So you cannot say, oh, I cannot use printf, or I don't know how to use printf because printf was covered in the first exam, so it should not be included in the second exam. Okay, so everything that you've learned, may appear in the exam. It will not be the focus of the problem, right? So if we started fork in the second batch of material for the second exam, of course the purpose of that problem will be for you to demonstrate how you mastered using the fork function, right? But it doesn't mean that printf or scanf cannot be used, right? It's not going to be realistic to to restrict our exam material to not include anything that we learned before. Like how can you write any meaningful program without printf, for example. So hopefully we are on the same page and not overly formal about this idea that the material covered in since the last exam is the only material that is going to be on the exam. Is that making sense? Do you think it's fair and reasonable? Yes, you can print. All right, so let before my chat gets to gets out of my view, let me read through the questions. Exam is next Wednesday. Yes. It's in person. Yes. It's not going to be the same place as labs. We are still waiting on the registrars to give us the rooms. So just stay tuned. We will post an announcement. As of now, we don't have rooms assigned, but hopefully we will by Wednesday, definitely. So it's Open Notes bar Electronics. That is correct. You can type your own crib sheets, sure, and the only thing is you have to print them, or handwrite them. So you cannot use a crib sheet on your laptop, your phone, or whatever. Any electronic devices are are not allowed. So yes, you can print the Zybook, but not bring laptop with Zybook. Correct. So Zybook with Zybooks you can print everything. So you can print any chapter you like. So that is perfectly fine. Yeah, you can bring your books on C, definitely. Yeah, it's open notes. Exactly. Open notes, open textbooks. Uh, Anyone know where I can find a printer? Yeah, so people are already suggesting. I know that students can print in VCC, our computer center, but there's probably tons of other places. Yeah, Union, Library, they are all good resources. Segmentation fault, core dumped. What was that about? I don't know. Okay, well, let me skip it for now. We can print pages from sidebooks. Yes. Print F text. Yeah, I like it. No page limit. Nope. Try to be mindful of their environment. Try not to kill too many trees. But other than that, yeah, I don't want to put in any kind of strict limit. Yes, the exam is completely pen and paper unless you have some special circumstances. And in that case, like you are remote and you received a waiver. So any such cases are handled on a case by case basis. So yeah, you don't have to bring your laptop to the exam. Exactly. There's a web page with a list of all the printers. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, if you can let which is, I think it would be helpful if you can find a link and put it in the chat. So I can have more than one sheet of paper for a crib sheet. Yes, as many as you would like. Okay. All right. So that's that. Any other questions about exams and the Q&A on Wednesday? Okay. Cool. So let's move on then. So we wanted to get back to our discussion on the late days. So it looks like there are a majority of students who expressed their opinions were in favor of doing something along the lines of what they do in data structures. And so I was actually, someone forwarded their data structures policy to me. So yeah, I think we are fine just adopting that policy and even making it a little bit more generous. So we will start with 3 late days for everyone in the class, which I believe is 2 more than what they give you in data structures, and then yeah, we're gonna have those sub-mini pols that students can use to earn extra late days. And as in data structures, you get full point for the correct answer, and you get a half point for an incorrect answer. So we really want to encourage participation, and we really want to see many students in their lectures. And for that reason, we will keep their polls open until the end of the lecture. I don't know if that's what they do in data structures. I don't think it's explicitly mentioned in the policy. But if someone remembers the data structures, do they close some mini polls at the end of the lecture? Okay, yeah, so they open them as they get to the question. That's what we do. And then, keep it open for 24 hours. Okay, yeah, so that's exactly, yeah, that's what I thought. They do that in data structures because some people are watching remotely, but we're not doing we're not doing remote lectures. So except for a few people who are exceptions, we are completely synchronous. In the fall, we close them at the end of the question, and okay. So question: why they don't record the lectures? It feels like a weird technicality. Well, the short answer is because that's what instructors were asked to to do or not to do, not to make lecture recordings available to everyone in the class. And the rationale, and again, you can take it any way you like, right? It's not something that I'm willing to have a fight over with with the department or the school, right? So if you feel it's it's something that you would like to talk to the department, feel free to do that, right? So if the departmental guidance changes, I'm more than willing to follow it. But for now, the guidance from the department and the school of science is to not make recordings available unless a student has, or students have official waivers that explain why they are unable to attend lectures synchronously. So yeah, the online yet in-person experience. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so since we are all synchronous, let's with our submini polls, let's keep them open until let's say the end of the lecture, and see how that goes. Okay, does that make sense? And yeah, if you find that there's a problem with that, or we can always we can always change. So this policy is completely in our hands, so we can do pretty much whatever we think is fair and reasonable. Okay. All right. Yes. And so I will try. So I think data structures have like 4 to 6 submini polls each lecture. I don't know if that is real, but at least that's what they say in their policy. And I'm not sure if I will be able to produce like 6 submini polls for every single lecture. I know that seems like a little bit of an overhead, since we are just starting doing this, and so I have 2 polls for today, so I will definitely try to have at least 2, but hopefully more. But this is one of the reasons I'm giving more late days, to begin with, 3 instead of 1, because we are likely to have less than 5 polls per lecture. Some of the DS polls were survey for the students. For example, how do you feel about the exam? Yeah, sure. We're gonna do that as well. And actually, one of their polls today is exactly a survey. So we'll get to that. Some of them are random, not related to actual material. Okay, it's good to know. Thank you. Yeah, I will keep it in mind. Filler balls. Well, yeah, I'll. Okay. So yeah, I'll do my best to offer you as many of them as I can, as I have time for. I just don't want to kind of guarantee too much to make sure that I'm able to to stick to my word and not reverse whatever I tell you now. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. If anything makes you happy or less stressful, I'm more than willing to do that. Okay. So what is next on agenda? All right. So homework 1. Let's briefly go over homework 1, the handout, and so for that, I probably need to start sharing something with you. Right. Here we are. Okay. So this is our homework 1 due September 14th, and it's basically matrix multiplication. So you have to write code in C, in plain old C, right? There's no C++ in this class, and so you know basically, you need to, if you're rusty on your linear algebra, or if you haven't taken linear algebra, then here is the link that explains what matrix multiplication is. You don't really need to understand, the meaning of matrix multiplication. Again, if you do, it would be helpful. But if you have never taken linear algebra, you can just treat it as an algorithm that you need to implement, right? As the rule how each cell of their new matrix, of the resultant matrix, is computed based on the rows and columns of your the two matrices that you are multiplying. So please note that matrices do not have to be square, so they're non-square in the general case, and that values are doubles, not integers. So you need to write the code that would read two matrices in memory, and then perform their computation, compute their resultant matrix, and output that resultant matrix. So you do need to allocate space for each matrix dynamically. So you have to use dynamic memory allocation. You cannot imply, certain, a limit on the size of any of the matrices you're dealing with. So their overall workflow is allocate memory dynamically for each matrix, read their matrices, their two input matrices into the memory, print each matrix so that it's easier to control what is going on and whether the results are correct when a human is looking at the output. Then multiply their matrices, store the result, and remember to deallocate or free the memory. Yeah, dynamic allocation. I know it's painful, and it can be ugly, and it can be a source of many subtle bugs and seg faults and whatnot. But yeah, that's but that's widely used, right? You cannot fit too much in your stack, and you cannot always rely on the fact that you know what the size of the data that you are dealing with is going to be. So there's really no other alternative to dynamic memory allocation. Okay, well, hopefully you are more comfortable with memory allocation and deallocation after this homework, or as you work on this homework. Try to again, you don't have much of a choice. It is dynamic memory allocation, so just try to hopefully relax a little bit, and maybe even start liking dynamic memory allocation. And I know in some other languages, of course, in some other languages it's less painful. Like think about Python, think about even Java, right? But the C and C++ way of doing things is this. So yeah, memory debugger. Valgrind and Dr. Memory, those are the two that come to mind immediately. And if you want me to show you around, one of their debuggers, please let me know. Put a request on Submini, asking me to include some examples in our next lecture. Okay, so that can certainly be done. And in general, if you if you feel there is something that you would like me to talk about in addition to what we have in the slides, then sure, put a request, and I will try to prepare examples and go over them to help you with whatever. And yeah, Dr. Memory should work for this totally. And yeah, GDB, Valgrind, well, GDB is a debugger, right? But to keep an eye on memory leaks. Valgrind is certainly yeah, and yeah, Valgrind is better than Dr. Memory. It's it's a holy war, so I'm not going to go into that. If you believe one is better than the other, you can totally use the one that you prefer. Okay, and C++ way is suffering in a way, but if you think about it, it's their both languages are pretty old, right? So that's the way it was meant to be for programmers to be tough folks, back 30 years ago. And then, of course, the world, the programming world has become a lot more, diverse and open, and things like, okay, let's do things in a little less low level stuff, and hence the languages like Python and the Lake emerged. All right, so and okay, so that's pretty much all there is to homework one. Okay, so we give you starter code. So if you look at their course materials, hopefully it is here. Yeah, so we give you a few output samples to come, to help you debugging, and we give you this C file, which is your starter code with some comments and basically some guidance about how we think you can get started on this homework. Like all their functions are defined. You just need to kind of fill in the contents. Okay, and met files. Let me. So met is just a shortcut for it stands for matrix, right? So it just there. So if you can, yeah. So let's open it. Ooh. No, I definitely don't want access to handle that. So let me try. Let's see where my Chrome downloaded this mat file. Yeah, here it is, and I can just okay. Windows doesn't make it easy. All right, so it's just this. It's a text file with the values for the metrics. No. It's not Microsoft Access Table. No, it's by accident. Well, it's just a coincidence. So it's not a Microsoft Access file. No. Yes, and thank you for answering the question about getting the zip file. So yeah, you can click the download button next to the homework, and it's going to give you like this. Download the entire folder. It's going to give you the zip. All right, that's homework. Grading criteria pretty much self-explanatory, and you submit stuff on Submiti. But we will do manual grading as well, right? So in particular, if you forget to free your memory, you might still have your code running correctly, or it will appear running correctly, but we insist on properly freeing all memory. So that of course will be no memory leaks, absolutely. So that will be of course enforced through manual key grading. And of course all requirements are satisfied. So this is basically no modifications to main, and this is also to ensure that no one attempts to do hard coding, right? Because with Submiti, if you know the test cases, it might be tempting for some students to just hard code their answer and just print out all the proper values. That would be, of course, cheating. So please do not do this. You will get a straight 0 for this homework and for any homework. So it equally applies to any other homework. So no hard coding will be tolerated. Okay. And Well, so will we get destroyed grade-wise if we didn't perfectly free all the memory? Well, no. You can see that TA checks are just 10%, right? Hard coding that is guaranteed to destroy your entire homework. So even if it even if submitting gives you full credit, but you hard coded your even some parts of your solution, then we will override the grade with just a plain zero. But if you didn't free up memory, the maximum amount of points you're going to lose is 10%. Yep. Okay. And no, it's so the 60-30-10 split the same for all homework assignments. No, not necessarily. So it may change assignment to assignment. Some assignments will have textbook style problems from our COD book, and of course in those assignments, textbook style problems will be manually checked by TA. So the TA component will be a lot higher. Okay. Do we lose all credit for one of the 6 tests if there is only an error in one index? So I assume the question is about. Okay, so six tests. The submittee may run other test cases than what we give you, right? So submittee may have more. This is in general to be expected, and we will not override submittee autograder unless it's an instance of hard coding. And of course, we will not give points for if submitting autograder gives you zero, even if it's a if it's a tiny mistake, but it is devastating enough so that it screws up all the test cases, and submitting autograder gives you zero, we will not give you more points, right? So you have to make your code work on submitting, and that's your, in this case, 60% is the correctness. Okay, and okay. So I guess here we specify 6 tests. Yeah. So in this case, it's going to be 6 tests, but in the future homework assignments, it may be more than 6. Okay. Uh, you know, make sure that you test your code with not just the test cases that we give you, but try to come up with additional test cases. And again, it's not going to be for this homework, if we say it's 6 tests, it's going to be 6 tests, and that's it. But future homework assignments, we might have additional test cases. And yeah, I know someone asked for no hidden test cases, but they actually is a good remedy against hard coding. So I know you might not be a big fan of hidden test cases, but they actually you know are likely to appear. So unless you can give me good reasons why they shouldn't, right? Because I personally believe that they are a good way of making you think about the correctness of your code and not just making sure that the test cases that we give you pass. Yeah, and you can easily snuff out hard coding. Exactly. So that's the main reason. And I think it's also like from their learning experience kind of viewpoint, it's useful for you folks to also have something beyond their come up with something beyond the test cases that we provide, right? Because in real life, you're not going to have test cases that someone gives you. You might have a small amount, but in general, you would have to come up with your own testing strategy and test cases to prove to your superior, or prove to your customer that your code is actually correct. All right, so that's that, and now let's go back to our slides. Okay, and I think we left off somewhere around here. So we looked at the hello world, and then we started reviewing the reverse example, and I have that example open right here. So there's, and in general, I will try to go over all the examples that I post for each lecture under course materials. But if we run out of time, I would definitely expect you to review the examples that we didn't cover. And if you have any questions, please ask them on the Submit forum, or if it's something that multiple students have trouble understanding what a particular example does, we will definitely go over it the next lecture. Just let me know if any example presents, some kind of challenge. Okay, so like I usually say, just keep me posted. How you feel, how you're doing, and if you're struggling with anything, I definitely want to know so that we can address that. So this hello function hopefully is pretty straightforward. So it's a variation of the hello world with a little twist that we print their message several times. So we demonstrate how functions are defined in C, and so this exit success is a constant that is defined in stdlib. And by convention, it usually is a 0. So 0 as the return code corresponds to a successful completion or successful run, whereas a non-zero value corresponds to some kind of error, also called error code. And while you technically can say return 0 here, and this if you don't use this constant, you wouldn't need to include this stdlib. But to make your code portable and more reliable, I recommend using named constants, not just magic values like 0 for their successful completion. And it's
Professor, can you zoom in?
as we go over them, by all means, please do.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so I think I answered the question about exit success, and the use of spaces instead of tabs physically hurts. Yeah, I mean, it's another holy war. All right, so I think I use spaces, but um, yeah, like if your eyes bleed, then feel free to open this example in your own text editor that may actually either, and I like to see all the space, all the non-printable characters shown. So if that if that gives you, if you have issues with that, just open the same example with your favorite text editor that you can configure to do whatever pleases your eye. So, is it better to use return 0 or return exit success? I'm a big proponent of using named constants over magic values like literals, like 0, 1, 26, 100, whatever. So that's what I am trying to do in all my examples. But you will see tons of examples of existing code where they do return 0. So the reason I prefer using a constant is if it makes your code more portable. What